Just checking. Has everyone signed in here? Good? No one need to? All right. Well, if everyone's ready, I'll start this up. We're going to start this with, if everyone would like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we'd like to sit for a moment of silence. And I would like to take a quick moment to thank Pastor John and the United Presbyterian Church for letting us utilize their space here. And I'm going to give them the opportunity to lead us in a prayer before we start the meeting here.
Welcome everybody to the church here. It's our honor to host the community in this space. As you're willing, would you bow your heads? We'll have a word of prayer to start the meeting. Most gracious and loving God, we do praise you for so many things in so many ways. We thank you, O God, for this beautiful space and this beautiful day, for you joining us together as a community to talk about our concerns and our joys and all that needs to be said tonight. May we find you in everyone's words and everyone's attitude and everyone's being present here. So thank you, O God. We pray this in the mighty name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to be here with us today, practicing your civic duty and voicing your concerns about our community. As I'm sure you are all aware, we are gathered here today to discuss concerns about the increased truck traffic over the years. According to recent statistics provided by PennDOT, truck traffic has increased dramatically in recent years from an estimated 800 trucks a day 10 years ago to over 2,000 trucks a day as of a few weeks ago. Although the problem has become exacerbated with new development projects, the problem of truck traffic through the borough and its effects on the community is one that has gone unaddressed for decades before and will likely remain a problem even after the development slows. Regarding the development, we have been in communication with Homer City Redevelopment, who unfortunately was not able to be here today. However, they have expressed to us that they are willing to sit down with us and hear the concerns collected at this meeting to see how they can be of assistance in a solution. I've been hearing about this problem for at least 20 years since I was a child. I'm only 27, going to community events with my grandmother. So hopefully with this meeting, it'll be the first of many that will result in a well-deserved long-term solution. I would like to take a moment before explaining how we will proceed with the meeting, the mechanism for you guys voicing your concerns. To address a point of friction I've received communications about from many people and noticed on social media posts regarding the issue, and that is the strife between the community and the truckers. To those voicing their concerns today, I want to make it clear that this is not the fault of the truckers themselves, as I hope we all have an idea of. They're just working class people doing a job as many of us are, and are doing what they must to make ends meet. They're restricted in their ability to do that job in terms of what routes they take and how they operate while on those routes, as well as the conditions that they operate under. To the truckers going through the borough, if you had over 2,000 trucks going through your neighborhood every day, you'd likely be as upset about the conditions as many residents, including myself, are, and would want your government to seek alternatives. In no way is this an us versus them or them versus us issue, but rather a planning and logistics issue that I urge all of us to work together toward a solution on. When we show understanding and solidarity with one another, I'm confident that we can accomplish anything that we put our efforts towards. Now, on to the mechanism we will be using for voicing our concerns today. In order for us organizers to keep track of the concerns and categorize them later, we ask that you state your name, where you live, stand first, of course, and state your concerns as concisely as possible, as each person will have no more than 2 minutes to speak. We can be a little flexible on that, if you're being concise, making good points. Anecdotes, let's hold on the anecdotes. Save those for the dinner table, Councilman David Janusek will record all that information, and we will organize these concerns into categories after the meeting and apply them to the proper channel. So if it's the PennDOT or the DEP or Homer City Redevelopment, who can help us find a solution on these things. Any concerns that are not directly related to the increase in truck traffic and its effects on the borough will be moved on from in order to provide everyone with time to speak. In other words, we are not here to strictly hear about opposition to the development of the trucks that the trucks are supporting. If you have questions for the representatives that I'll introduce here shortly, we ask that you save them for the end to be addressed if we have enough time. Looks like some more people are upset than any of us might have thought. So I'm not sure if we'll get to that. Hopefully we do. And I'd like to now introduce the elected and appointed officials in attendance who are here to listen to the community's concerns, starting with local officials. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Mayor Mike Wallstrom, your Blairsville Borough Mayor. Introduce Councilman David Janusek here. If you want to stand and give a wave. Our Chief of Police, Louis Sacco. And the officials from the Indiana County government, including our Indiana County Commissioner, Shereen Hess. Indiana County Commissioner, Bonnie Dunlap. Over here. Executive Director of the Indiana County Office of Planning and Development, Byron Stauffer. Over here. And the Indiana County Manager, Aaron Emhoff. Down here. And finally, we have representatives from state entities, which include Emily Lewis from the Office of Representative Jim Struzzi. And want to give a wave? Oh, you did? Okay. Jonathan Longwell from the Office of Senator Joe Pittman. And Courtney Snyder from PennDOT. And she's the Maintenance Services Engineer. And Connor Schaefer, Safety Engineer with PennDOT. All right, so without further ado, we will now move on to the concerns section of the agenda. Once again, please state your name, where you live, and your concerns as concisely as possible. Let's see. Would you like to start? You want to speak without you now?
No, I'm loud enough.
Just stand in place.
My name's Carrie DeTore, and I live right across from the cemetery in those brick houses. It's on East Brown Street. And my concern is how fast the trucks go. I mean, I know there's a lot of them, but I have to park behind my house. So I have to make a left into Grandview Avenue, like going towards the old football field. And sometimes if there's a truck behind me, I'm afraid to turn. I go down to Brady Street to make a left because I don't think that truck's going to stop. They're going so fast. And I sit and watch them all day, and that's my concern, is the speed of the trucks.
Mr. Mayor, may I please make a request?
Yeah.
My name is Josh Widdison. I'm with Renda Media, and we are live streaming the event tonight on our Facebook page on WCCS. I will go ahead and pass the microphone around to whomever wishes to volunteer to speak. All I ask is that you please do not touch the phone part of it. You can hold it by down here, but other than that, that's fine. But I'll trust you guys to pass this around.
That sounds great. Alrighty, do we want to just go in a circle? Assume everyone at least has some concerns to state here today. Anyone at the table here? Just in support?
I want to stand up. My name's Monica Bell, and I live on Market Street.
I've got to be able to hear the first time.
I'll just talk into it. My name is Monica Bell, and I live on Market Street. I'm concerned also with the speeding and the dirt because many of the trucks go by and they are not covered. The tarps are not sealed over the trucks. Stones fly off of those trucks. And they also, they speed and they use their Jake brakes, which can be very annoying also.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else at the table here? Okay. So I'll kind of do this area and we'll just move along. You have any concerns?
Yes. My name is Robert Moorhead. I live on the 600 block Walnut Street. So the first question I have is, I noticed that there was a 25-mile-an-hour sign with a radar speed indicator that was placed a couple blocks north. And I have a question of why that can't be moved down to the 600 block.
Okay, so we'll save questions for the end. So would you say you're concerned with speeding?
I'm concerned with speeding.
Okay.
I'm concerned with noise. I think it's exceeding the Pennsylvania standards on that. And I'm also concerned about emissions, both diesel particulates as well as, which is covered under 1 PA code, but also the dust that's being emitted by the trucks. Even though there's no law that requires tarping, there is a PA code that that there is limits on emission discharge of dust in the truck itself.
Right.
Thank you.
That's what you got. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hi, so I'm Becky Videla. I don't live in the borough, but I run NovaCare Rehab right on Market Street. So there's the same thing. There's a lot of dirt. We're constantly cleaning outside, but then it's being tracked in just because we have a lot of foot traffic coming in. So our carpets, like everything's just getting very dirty from it. And then my patient with the speed, I mean, obviously I have a lot of patients that don't walk very quickly. So that's kind of a concern too.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Did you want to voice any?
I'm Bill Johnson. I have a business in the borough, and I'm one concerned about speeding, dirt, and noise. Huh? Market Street. We're right along the main drag there. So here's the thing. You've got a lot of noise coming down that hill, and you've got a lot of speed coming down the hill. And I know we talked about, the trucks and the Jake brakes, but there's a lot of trucks running straight pipes, and straight pipes aren't in the law. So that needs to be enforced. Also, there's a lot of wheel dirt. I know we talked about the tarps, but most of the dirt's coming from the wheels. There's no wheel wash on either end of this haul. They track dirt from the power plant the whole way back to the quarry. I see it all over the place.
Thank you very much. Oh. Anything you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to say? Anyone back here? Okay.
Hi, my name's Brenda. I live on 535 North Walnut Street in Blairsville, right off of 22. I hear it daily. The trucks come in there like 50, 60 miles an hour, and they didn't finish the highway, and right there is that bump. And when they hit that bump, it sounds like somebody hit my house or it blew up. It's like they need to slow down.
So noise, speed. Sure. Anyone over here?
I request that everybody speak out, please. Use your best projecting voice because we're having trouble hearing you in the room.
Yeah, just as a reminder, that microphone is only going back here to my camera. It is not amplified to the room.
All right. Best projecting voices as best you can.
My name is Brenda Shutter. I'm concerned about, I have grandchildren riding bikes in town, and I live on Evans Avenue, but I have grandchildren living on the south end of town riding bikes, and to say, well, we watch for the lights and changing, they know it all, but I've seen them run red lights down there, so they're not complying with the traffic lights, and someone's really going to get hurt.
Okay.
I'm Deb Moorhead, and I live on South Walnut Street. And I just remember at one point in town, the trucks were not allowed to make a right and go up through town. They had to go straight through. I don't know if that was on the books or not, but I just remember they were not allowed to make a right. Our place on South Walnut, we get all that dust, but I see so much on Market Street too, and I'm concerned about Market Street.
Thank you very much. Alrighty. Someone at this table want to start? Anybody? You want to start?
My biggest concern also, my name's Mary Beth Waddell. I live on 9650 Route 119 Highway South. I'm getting all the traffic. I'm getting all the noise. There's bus stops just 2 houses away from me. These trucks are not going the speed limit. In fact, no one's going the speed limit. There's no reason why they can't go straight up through and right up onto 22 and catch 119 at the bottom of the hill. I can hear these trucks coming off a mile hill with their straight pipes and even their Jake brakes. So I know what you guys are going through. There's nothing they can do about the tarps because they're mesh and dirt's going to get through there, and so are small rocks. But, you know, when you got big rocks in your front yard like that, because they're coming through there so fast, it's not safe. I'm afraid to come in and out of my driveway. I'm not sure if I'm going to get run over or what.
Sure.
You know, so, you know, I know what you guys are going through. I understand. But like I said, the tarps, unless you have a tarp that, you know, covers completely, there's stuff going to get out of there. There's dirt going to get out of there, but most of them are mesh.
Right.
So, you know, if they're not making sure that these trucks are tarped, that's the truck's problem. That's the truck driver's problem. I mean, I don't see any of these truck drivers around companies. So I think the companies need to be involved in this too.
Sure.
Because they need to slow their trucks down. They need to slow their drivers down.
Okay.
So that's my biggest concern.
All right.
I don't want to have to outrun a truck going up on me.
I think we're all with you.
It's not necessary.
Sure. Want to go around in a circle? Do you want to speak? No. Anyone else here? No. All right. Ms. Wheel next.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Todd Falk. I live at 228 Evans Avenue. Thank you for everybody coming from both the elected officials' office and PennDOT. I have a number of categories that I'd like to bring up as far as recommendations. For PennDOT and the state police, I think we should consider the deployment of 3 to 5 roadway work zone, remote monitoring, and speed control devices, similar to what you see in place on interstate and PA turnpike construction zones. That can reduce the cost of both borough speed patrol and also state police speed patrol. Second, set up a PA motor carrier enforcement checkpoint along the 2 to 3 main travel routes that are accessed by the power plant and the truckers that we're talking about. I noticed them along 119 very randomly, but that should be a dedicated enforcement area with the number of trucks we're talking about. Number 3, compile a list of operators who have a number of high violations and submit them to the PA PUC Enforcement Division. For those that aren't familiar, that's the group that enforces trucking laws in our state in partnership with the PA State Police. We should work through this delay in construction and repaving of Route 217 from the bridge to the on-ramp at Route 22 immediately. I understand that there were some subsurface issues that delayed that paving. That's something that PennDOT should jump into right away. Just to give you an idea, that creates hazards from swerving, and it also creates hazards where the lips are left on the ground surface and causes that dropping of debris right at the main intersection. Last, for this section, complete a traffic light synchronization study, similar to what was completed down in Murraysville Borough approximately 5 years ago. What that would do is optimize traffic flows through town, and it would also address some of the quick change lights from red to yellow to green and address some of the pedestrian safety issues. That's something that PennDOT's District Engineering Office could look at. For the Blairsville Borough, consider re-implementation of the pedestrian crossing markers for busy street corners. That was prevalent about 5 to 7 years ago here in town, and that has fallen by the wayside. That's something that Blairsville Police could enforce and actively look for. You heard Ms. Vidalia speak about her busy crosswalk there. That should be in place in the number of busy crosswalks here in town. Consider the deployment of street sweepers more frequently during off-peak hours. And again, I'm referring to the Blairsville Borough Street Department. They could also be deployed on walking crews with blowers and brooms to take care of enforcement here in town. Relative to enforcement of parking in town, there's a 12-inch curb rule in Pennsylvania. If you notice in town, there are a number of parking violators that make narrow traversing of our streets. The 12-inch parking rule should be enforced by Chief Sacca and the force here to ensure that we are keeping the roadways as wide as possible on the main travel corridors. Next, Blairsville Police can augment with random speed patrols in conjunction with state police and the automated enforcement that I mentioned earlier. And I think Blairsville Borough can consider increased fines for tarping, jakebrake, and or speeding violations. In the area of quarry operators, they are not here tonight. I'm going to ask Representative Janusek to get in touch with the 3 quarry operators. They should be ensuring that water wetting equipment is operated regularly on quarry roadways to ensure dust mitigation. They should ensure loading to prescribed weight limits at the quarries to reduce the number of overweight trucks using our roadways. They should require tarping prior to leaving the quarry property, if not already in place. They should consider working in conjunction with state police and local police to implement a penalty system for trucking companies that continually have a high number of violations for speeding, weight, tarping, jakebrake, and as that gentleman mentioned earlier, undercarriage debris. That's something that could be provided, and they could put them off property and not load them out if they have too many high violations. And last, relative to quarry operators, they can consider establishing a joint grant program amongst the 3 large quarries whereby reimbursements could be made to Blairsville Borough for increased cleanup fees. Last, PA legislators and Homey City Economic Development Group. I will ask both the county commissioners to convey this to Homer City Development Corporation as well. Consider the usage and deployment, and this is for Representative Struzzi and Senator Pittman's office, consider the usage and deployment of economic development grants such as Main Street Matters, local share accounts, or municipal assistance program for subsidizing the roadway enforcement issues and cleanup details for Blairsville Borough and PA Police dedicated resources. Perhaps funding of the remote speed monitors and a donation of a street sweeper or equivalent percentage of costs on a quarterly basis for the Development Authority. And then last, I would like to stress, and this is for the state reps, Indiana State Police Barracks has, over the last 10 or 20 years, put an inordinate amount of resources into White Township in our county. I'm not complaining about that, but I think the urgency of this matter should dictate some additional resources from the State Police Barracks in motor carrier enforcement and in speed patrol. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Is there anyone else? Yeah. It's a tough act to follow, but
he's covered it all. My name's Greg Zrichnak. I live on North Walnut Street, just before the underpass. We get a lot of noise, and because of the speed of the trucks as they're they're jake braking, and we'd like to see that resolved. Also, the roadway there, the curbing is disappearing because they're paving up to the top of the curbing, and whenever it rains, it comes right down the sidewalk. And I think they should be able to take care of that. It's bad there. Yet we have to take care of the sidewalks. Okay, it's a problem on my side, and I just like to see that taken care of. We get a lot of dust, we get a lot of noise. 4 a.m, we got the trucks coming by and they're waking us up. With that jake braking. If there was some type of control of that coming down, just the control of their speed would stop that, and that's not being done.
thank you. Anyone else at this table? And just to make it clear, it's okay if it's just shyness, but we're looking to file the numbers of complaints too. So just because someone covered a complaint that you may have already stated, it's okay to restate it. That's kind of why we're here, to see how many people. Well, yeah, and we can save the questions for after, but that is very much a possible solution. Right, me and you both. You and I both.
Sean O'Bartho, I live on South Walnut Street. Adele's my neighbor. Her and I live on the most dangerous curve on South Walnut. We had 104 accidents since what, 2020? So my objection is noise pollution, dust pollution, and the speed. I mean, you go up into Market Street, I walk every day. It is disgusting. I mean, it's bad. People don't want to come to Blairsville anymore. There's no one's parking there now. They don't want to fight the trucks or the dust or anything like that. These businesses are going to lose a lot of money. You know, I talked to one of them. He said their business, the bakery, they're off 50%. So I think we have a good police department. I think they're depleted and they need help. So, I mean, those guys can do the job, but they're too spread out. Sure. So we need to hire some more people, pay them. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Thanks, Mayor. My name's Josh Watt. I'm Blairsville up on Old William Penn Highway. Our community is far too familiar with the lethality of the rock trucks, but I did want to share, everyone has hundreds of examples of things they see every day. I wanted to share one that I thought was emblematic really of what we deal with every day. And this example, I was mowing my lawn this past week, and my elderly neighbor with his pickup truck and small trailer pulled up. He was on Old William Penn there, pulled slightly past his driveway, and pulled halfway off the road as an attempt to back his trailer into the driveway. While he was doing so, a car pulled up behind him and appropriately stopped. Another car pulled up behind that car and appropriately stopped to let my neighbor back his car into the driveway. The thing that neighbors do, the things that we do to take care of each other. And then a third vehicle came up. This vehicle seemed to be less interested in stopping, and in fact, this vehicle, a rock truck, went around the two cars that had stopped, went around my neighbor with his truck and trailer backing in, across the yellow lines while oncoming traffic is coming that had to give way, and then swerved back into the road, all while beeping his horn at my neighbor for simply being a resident of the community. He saw us as an inconvenience to him. He had one goal. That was to drive as fast as he could to get another load, another load, another load. That is their goal. They don't seem to have a goal of public safety or of interest of us. It's simply just that. This entire operation, they're outsiders. They're not here. They don't live here, aside from a couple of truck drivers. The quarry owners, data center developers, Homer City developers, and the vast majority of the truck owners, they're not from Blairsville. But for some reason, we've given to them. We keep giving to them.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. I understand. Thank you, Dave. My concern here is that it makes no common sense for the trucks to turn off of Walnut Street onto Market Street. It makes no safety sense to do that. For them to do that, it takes 3 miles before they can get to a highway, 22. If they simply went straight, it takes a half a mile. Now, I'm not an engineer. I can do math, though. And what that says is it takes 6 times as much distance for them to get from the light there on Market Street to the highway. These trucks belong on highways, not on downtowns, not in residential areas. And in fact, we need to restrict that. The truckers argue that, they're just trying to make an honest living, which I agree with. And I want them to. But they're not the victim. We're not in their way. Right. We are the neighbors. I'm happy to see everybody here, excited. I was kind of nervous to see if, how many people would show up. So I'm glad that everyone has shown up. And they've taken advantage of our kindness, I think, and left unchecked. We know how this is going to end. We're going to have more accidents, death of our community members. And I'd rather not come down here with pictures of people on our shirts saying, oh, you know, we've been murdered by these trucks. Now let's make some change. How about we just make the change now? Make common sense changes that actually keep us safe. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'd just like to give a thank you to Josh Watt.
Yes.
He was actually the person who came into council and voiced his concerns in the first place that kind of got us moving a little faster on all this. And I appreciate civic participation, so call it out when you see it. Anyone else at the table here? No? All right. Yeah.
Tom Christopher, 190 Maple Avenue, Blairsville. Chief, you know me. The others know me too. My biggest concern is the lights on Walnut Market, the lights on Morrow Street Market. Those trucks are running those red lights. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody may die. It is bad. Every day, over and over and over again, they run those red lights, and they run them fast, and someone's going to be hurt.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Lisa. My parents lived on in the 400 block of South Walnut for 35 years, and I live down in that area now. I've experienced everything that everyone's spoken with. I do want to say it used to be like clockwork. 4:15 a.m. they would go past my parents' house, a.m., 4:15. Then about 3:30 or 4, nothing. The shifts ended. Last couple of nights ago, I ran an errand at 7:15 p.m. 2 trucks. Finished my errand through town at 7:58 p.m. Boom. Still running around. So there's no, it's like, it's constant almost now. Just, it's unbelievable. It's a 24-hour probably thing. And it's just not right.
And real quick to her point, I mean, I myself have friends staying over last weekend. We were over walking through town around midnight and couldn't hold a conversation due to all the trucks. So
yeah, why do they start at like 2:30 in the morning and they end up at 11 o'clock at night? I mean, it's relentless. I mean, if you look at South Walnut Street, people aren't sitting on their porches or using their beautiful yards because you can't because of the noise and the dust.
Sure. Okay. Just to keep it moving on track. Anyone else at this table? No. Anyone at this table here? No.
Nope, I'm good. I'm just here to listen.
Nope.
I do.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dee Baker Simon. I live on West Ranson Avenue and intersects with North Walnut. We all share the same concerns with the constant traffic and the dirt and the noise, but I also have a concern with the on and off ramps that go on 22. They are directly, the ramp is right behind my yard. It actually used to be my grandparents' yard, and it was, when they put 22 in, it was eminent domain. I heard the mayor say that it sounds like this isn't a problem that's going to go away. It's not gonna, the volume isn't gonna lessen. So my question and my concern is, I think, more directed to PennDOT is the infrastructure is so antiquated and they're investing millions of dollars in the center that's going into Homer City. Was this problem anticipated or included in how you were going to handle the truck traffic? Where I live, and I don't plan on moving, my house has been in my family for over 100 years. It is unlivable. Trucks run, they come off the ramp from 22 so fast that some of them, I am not joking, are airborne. They are going way over at least even twice the speed limit. The ramps are too narrow. The trucks can't fit. There is a sidewalk on the exit ramp to nowhere, which I really don't know why that sidewalk is still there. It's probably been there from before they put the highway in. The trucks, they can't fit. Finally, after decades, there are young families in our neighborhood. There's a fellow that owns a barbecue place that they have 7 or 8 children. They live really close to that corner. These trucks they're cruising, they're flying. And a child is going to get killed, and I don't want to see that be the final nail for something to finally happen with this problem. Anybody here is welcome to come and sit on my porch anytime, day or night. You will hear a truck constantly. But my question to PennDOT is, what are you going to do about that ramp? And when you go,
and we'll save questions.
when you go through Derry, you don't see this problem. People are obeying the speed limit, but North Walnut isn't. Is there funding? Will you seek funding to make residential neighborhoods livable? One more thing I have to say is that on Ranson Avenue, what's happening is instead of using Burl Street, which Burl Street connects to 217, going out here, they're using West Ranson because it's quicker. Not all these big trucks, but there are commercial trucks on that street that don't have any business being there. They're too heavy. It's a residential street, and they are using West Ranson to connect to 217. And something needs to happen it needs monitored, it needs policed. If they're funding that kind of a project in Homer City, we need to be included in that project.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well spoken.
Hi, my name is Ann Wax. I live at 196 Old William Penn Highway, across from Clark Mental and Bentley. When you go to pull out onto Old William Penn Highway, you cannot instantly be going 45 miles an hour. Where we are, it's shaped like an M. We have zero visibility of these two sides coming up. We live in the low part in the middle. We go to pull out, you're doing 15, you are accelerating, but you're not at 45. These trucks come down the hill, they come right up to you. All you see in your back is a grate. They're hanging out, giving you the finger, laying on the horn, and it's not one quick little one. It's the whole way out to the villa. I went to turn into Pine Ridge Park. I had the turn signal turned on when I got to Indiana Hospital. So I was well ahead. Maybe he thought I was going to 22. I don't know. I was turning into the park, and he veered into the left-hand turn lane to go over to the Hoodlebug thing to avoid hitting me. They're aggressive. They aren't our neighbors. They aren't trying to be our friends. I just think that they are very aggressive people. I don't know what you can do to change that. The noise is awful. It never quits. Our house is right when they're starting to rev up, so you hear them hitting the gas as they're going. You know, you don't get to be in a good mood getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep because of this. And you're concerned about their commerce. What about our commerce in town that's suffering from them? I just think something needs to be done. Put weight limits on, stop them from coming up, because they're right where we're speeding. They're speeding right past our house. You know, we have children there that, can they go get the mail? Is it safe? You know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And we just don't appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else at this table? Over here.
I don't live in Blairsville, but I've been working here for the last 10 years, 5 days a week, 8 hours. 8 hours a day. I work for Dave Check We're down there across from the Tractor Supply entrance.
Could you state your name?
My name's Liz Wallace. I'm here today on a personal level for affecting me personally because these trucks that come down, they hit the light there at Morrow, they're coming there to go up the hill, and that dust is flying out of those trucks. And I have a brand new vehicle that I work hard to pay for, believe me. And I come out the other day last week when it was hot, and my whole windshield was just covered in this stuff. And the first thing you want to do is put down your windows to get that heat out of your vehicle when it's hot as it was. That dust was down in the tracks of my side window, and it is down in there now, and my windows are destroyed. I cannot see out of them from the dust damage to my vehicle. The street where I work is covered about this thick with that dust that's coming out of those trucks. It's up against our building, it's up against the sidewalk, it's laying on the grates for the storm drains. You're not supposed to breathe that stuff. People who work in quarries are known to have issues with COPD and lung disease, and we're breathing that stuff every morning, every afternoon. It's in the air. I can feel it when I step out of my vehicle. I can feel it in my lungs. We get enough rain, that stuff's going to get packed down in those storm drains, and it's going to start affecting the drainage around. And another thing, if you have a beef with a certain truck, you don't know whose truck it is when you're behind them because their license plates are always dirty and there's no name of the business on the back of the truck. So you have to effectively pass them or at least be able to pull up beside them to see who they are so you can get on the horn with their boss and let them know what's going on. Now I have to go see my insurance agent tomorrow. I waited till this meeting tonight because I wanted it to be known that there's a problem with this. We have to park our car in the Tractor Supply lot. Mr. Tech pays for us to park our cars there because there's some kind of rule in town about when you have a business, you have to have a place for your employees to park. Well, he pays Mr. Hewitt for us to be able to park there. That's where I have to park. And now my front windshield probably won't pass state inspection. And hopefully my insurance is going to cover it. If not, I don't know where I get the money to fix it. Who do I go see? Which truck do I blame?
Thank you so much. Identification was a new one, too. Huh? Identification was a new one, too.
Well, I'm in the business of making identification if anybody knows the truck.
I live on Old William Penn as well, and Ed Kerno, and the trucks go way too fast through there.
Ed Kerno.
Yeah, way too fast through there. And, you know, we've got grandkids that stay with us a lot. And it's unsafe, but there's a tremendous amount of people that ride scooters or walk to work. We see people walking to Walmart because they don't have transportation, and they use that road or the side of that road as a means to get to and from. And it's just not safe. Something has to be done. I mean, we're inside the borough. They could simply put a car over there at Bentley Drive. It wouldn't take long. We'd get enough fines that we'd take care of things pretty quick. Something needs to be done. And, you know, half the trucks don't tarp their loads. They're supposed to, but I see a lot of them that don't. We pick up stones out of our yards. So it needs addressed. I understand progress. I understand business and industry. But this needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add something too. Another thing I'd like to point out is, has anybody traveled across the bridge from Cokeville into Blairsville lately? And been on that bridge when the truck's on the bridge? It kind of goes like this and like this. Oh, it's worse. It's worse. It's worse.
Yeah. All right. Did you want to speak? Can I hold it? Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Cameron Akins. I live 524 North Walnut. I share the concerns with the noise and the speed. I'm also concerned about the roadway. I just want to thank the borough for paving that roadway because it was pretty bad beforehand. My worry is how quickly that road surface will become deteriorated, especially with it's odd placement of the manhole covers, and I'm sure there's infrastructure underneath that would be really hard to maneuver. But I think that's what's causing the noise when the trucks ride over, that along with potholes. And then in that underpass area, there's always been that weird bump as long as I've lived. I'm sure that's been a concern for the borough and for PennDOT. I'm just wondering if now we're redoing that road surface, if there's any way we can redo that infrastructure underneath. I don't want the taxpayers to have to pay for another roadway within the next 5 years. We'd like to see that last longer than that. If there's any kind of new formulations or anything, it might have been paved for just residential traffic 10 years ago. Now it's commercial traffic. I just wonder if we're doing our due diligence up front with the roadway surface. So, thank you.
Did you want to speak? Anyone else? Did you want to speak, sir? Oh, okay.
I feel okay. I'm Madison Losel. I live on Turner Drive. My issues are, obviously I live like further away, but I drive Walnut into 217 every day on my way to work, and the speed is out of control. A lot of times, so when I get to Market Street, I typically pause at the light, whether or not it's green or not, because more than often, the trucks are coming into my lane to take that turn onto Market Street. So I just hesitate because I always worry that whether or not I'm in my lane, they're not in theirs. I see them run red lights probably at least 2 times a week. They don't follow basic traffic laws. They pull out in front of me a lot, even if I do have a green light. And I also am concerned about pieces flying off. And I don't know anything about the TARP regulations, but I drive a motorcycle to work a couple of times a week, and I'm kind of terrified sometimes that something, if I'm in a car, that's one thing that's damaged, but I'm not replaceable, so that kind of worries me. But and I obviously have all the concerns of everybody else. I could take my dog to a vet in the middle of Blairsville. I'm kind of scared just to park on Market Street a lot of the time because there is so much traffic coming through. But yeah, that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Do you want to speak? Sure.
I'm Pam. Oh, sure. I'm Pam Curnow. I'm married to Ed Curnow, and I'm neighbors with Ian. I just want to say that it's so dangerous living on Old 22 across from Bentley Coal, and I welcome any one of you to come sit in my yard and watch it for a day. Just sit out there. I have a porch. You're welcome. And just watch it for 1 hour, and you won't want to live there either. They fly, and I understand they're making their living. I do. And if I was a truck driver, I'd probably be doing the same thing till I was caught. Because they just go back and forth and back and forth. But you're going to have somebody killed turning into Bentley Coal. There's no doubt about it. It's just who's it going to be.
Okay, and I'm going to ask, I've seen a couple people come in since. Was there anyone who came in a little late that wanted to say any words? Speak their concerns?
One, these trucks can be turned down on their speed that they are allowed to go. So I don't know if you guys know that or not, but my husband's an over-the-road truck driver. That truck that he drives cannot go over 60 miles an hour. So these trucks can be set at a safe speed. Their mechanics just aren't doing it, or they're not telling their mechanics that it needs done. So, and like I said about the tarp issues, you could put any kind of tarp in there. Those rocks are going to come through that tarp, no matter how big they are. A lot of them use the net, like my husband uses a roll-off on his. He has to tarp that truck before he can leave that lot. So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hey, they elected you.
217, construction on 217 will resume again tomorrow night, weather permitting. So I know it's been long coming, and I think that At this point, Chief Sacco would like to address some of the concerns from the police side. So if we can do that before questions.
Sure. I was going to say, it seems like just want to thank everyone. You guys all stayed pretty concise, and we got through that in under an hour. So I think we're going to have time for some questions, luckily. And and if any of the other appointed officials, elected officials, would like to say anything after Chief Sacco, I think that'd be okay before we start the questions up.
Okay, so I had documented some of the stuff the main concerns that would involve the police department. One of the things is speed. Just to let you know, we have been doing speed enforcement. Kind of an issue that we have on North and South Walnut Street. See, I don't know if you're familiar, but in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we are not allowed to use radar. We have to use what's called a speed timing device. In order to use that speed timing device, it's basically distance over time equals speed, okay? So you use two reference points on a road, and you time them from point A to point B, and it gives you the speed, okay? Right now, with the construction that's being done on North and South Walnut, we had lines painted, but when they milled that up, we have no reference points to use. So right now, it's very difficult for us to do speed enforcement because, again, we're the only state in the United States that doesn't allow their municipal police to use radar. The other thing is there's restrictions on speed enforcement that we have to abide by. The speed restrictions that we use is if you have a 35 mile an hour zone, which you have over on South Walnut Street coming into town or going out of town, okay, and then it comes, as you come into town, it goes to 25 mile an hour. We cannot do any enforcement. We have to give 500 feet from the reduction of speed until we can enforce the speed. That's regulations that we have to abide by. Okay? So anywhere there's a reduction in speed, we have to allow at least 500 feet before we can actually even do any type of enforcement. The other thing, being the fact that we use speed timing devices, we have to allow, and this is state law, that we have to allow 10 mile an hour over the speed limit. Because the types of devices that we do use there's a human factor involved. So the areas that we're concerned about, that I've been hearing the complaining about the speeding, speed limits are 25, 35, and 45. We can't even begin to pull people over in the 25 mile an hour zone until they're 36, 35 mile an hour until they're 46, and then the 45 mile an hour zone over on William Penn, we can't even begin to pull them over until they're 56 mile an hour. Those are the restrictions that's given to us with local police. Okay.
So why can't we reduce all those by 10 mile an hour with some new signs, and then we'll be even?
Well, because that's easier said than done. There has to be and PennDOT can answer this question, but there has to be a study done, and those are state roads. The borough cannot reduce those. That would have to be PennDOT.
Right,
Let me answer some other things, and then you can. So we are doing speed enforcement. I have a little bit of grant money that we've been using through a traffic safety grant that I've been putting people out there. We've been sitting at the light, the intersection. I just got a guy today. Wrote him a ticket for running the red light. Almost caused an accident. It wasn't a truck. How much is it? Well, that's the other thing. The fines is only $25, but the court cost, it's about, I think it was, $135. No, it was $175 when I issued the ticket. Okay, so one of the big reasons why they don't allow us to use radar, okay, and this has been brought up it's been brought up in the House and the Senate about allowing us, and it always dies in committee, is the fact that some of the legislatures feel that municipalities will use it as a moneymaker. Well, let me explain something. I've been doing this job for 37 years. When I first started working and writing traffic citations, it was $42.50, $25 fine, or if you did speed enforcement, it increases after 5 mile an hour. It increases a couple dollars each. Okay, but the fines have never increased. But all the other added costs that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has put on that has increased. So now I have an officer that's out there doing traffic, and say they cite somebody for running that red light. The biggest thing right now, when you write if you write somebody for a red light violation, they're concerned about points on their driver's license. So automatically you're getting a hearing. So that fine is $25. The municipality only gets $12.50 out of that fine. Now they take a hearing. Now I got to pay overtime for an officer to go to that hearing. The municipalities are not making money, and that's the biggest thing that they say municipalities will may use it as a moneymaker.
So what if we made money? What would be wrong with that?
I don't.
Get that.
I hear you.
The community needs to start lobbying through the Pittman. Get all the sticking.
And from my understanding,
you bring that question back up in the question section. This is just
so that.
But also,
I don't think people realize some of the limitations that we have as far as speed enforcement. Again, it would be nice to be able to have the tools, give us the tools to do the job, and if we could use radar, then that would be great. So, and again, the intersections, we've been watching the intersections, and they get on that CB, they see us sitting at one intersection. You might get one, but they're on that CB going, hey, Smokey's over here, and guess what? Now all of a sudden everybody's stopping at that red light. Okay, so yeah, it does work, but the problem that we run into is I don't have the manpower to have somebody sitting at an intersection or along the roadway, for the amount of time that it takes. I just don't have the manpower. Again, we've gone from 800 trucks to 2,000 trucks. And, we're answering calls. Earlier today, I was by myself. I handled a disturbance with a gun. Okay. Plus, I'm trying to do my administrative stuff and be out on the road. It's difficult. So, yeah, we are being there. As far as the truck inspections, I marked down. We've had one. We work with the Pennsylvania State Police, what's called MixHap. We did a one over there off of Old William Penn, and I actually posted pictures of us. Anybody follow the police department's social media page? Well, let me tell you, you saw the comments that were being made, and 99.9% of those people making ignorant comments about us supposedly harassing people were the truck drivers that were involved and didn't even live in Blairsville Borough. We are working together with the Pennsylvania State Police. We're going to continue to have periodic checkpoints to do inspections, and we're looking at sending actually two of our officers, at least one, but possibly two officers, to get trained in MixHap. There are certain things under inspection we as police cannot enforce unless we have that specialized training. So we're looking into, and it's a 3-week course. It's in Harrisburg. They don't have anything local. So we are looking into that. So yeah, we're going to continue the truck inspections, and I'll continue to keep the public notified. I'll take pictures and post it when we're done. I'll post the results on our social media page. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is we do have limited manpower. Lots of times we have, one officer on duty. We are hiring another full-time officer. That should be coming up shortly. But, mind you, we respond. Sometimes we only have one officer on duty, and we're responding to calls. I got people coming in. There's phone calls happening. You're just spread thin. And then not only do we have problems with the trucks, but I also get complaints about, kids on dirt bikes. I get complaints about, this. I get complaints about that. Blairsville's not a small town. I mean, it is a small town, but it's not small. So, it's kind of tough to be, you can't be in every place at once. And we are doing our best, and I want to let the community know that we are doing our best, and we are trying to work. And it's one of the issues I will probably discuss with Homer City Redevelopment, because this is something that we don't have the manpower to deal with this right now.
hold off just a little bit longer. I'll see if any of them want to give a statement, and then we'll start. I'll give you the first slot. I'd like to just say real quick, as the guy you elected to be his boss, he's doing a great job. He's doing as much as he can. As you can see, he has a lot of knowledge. He's a valuable part of the borough government, and if you just logic it out for a minute, there's never going to be enough manpower in a borough police department to handle an issue this size. It's just not. It's not feasible. And I think that's why we need kind of bigger, longer term solutions. Speaking of bigger, longer term solutions, would any of the other appointed or elected have anything to kind of say beforehand?
I documented a lot of the concerns going down through. First of all, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. It's good to hear the concerns. I've been trying to filter through Facebook to see comments and talking with Mayor Wallstrom to hear your concerns, but it's good to hear from the community. There's several items on here, and I don't know if it's appropriate now to try to address some of the items that I felt maybe broke down into the PennDOT category. Is that okay now if I go through some of those?
Sure.
Or?
Do you talk with your hands, or
I do talk with my hands. I'm sorry.
Josh, wait, do you have that stand mic? Because my knees, I might be.
Oh, I can hold this. That's fine. That's fine.
John,
I can hold
Josh,
this.
come
That's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. So first of all, some of the comments were in regards to the speed limits, lowering speed limits, extending the 25 mile per hour speed limits. Sure. Okay. PennDOT does control what the speed limit is posted at to a certain extent. We are required to follow PA law, Title 75. So every speed limit you see that's posted out on the road has had an engineering and traffic study performed in order to determine what the speed limit should be, and the requirements are spelled out in Title 75. So we can't arbitrarily lower them, but we can work with the borough to identify where we need to look at. We can perform updated engineering and traffic studies to determine if they can be lowered. But again, we have to follow Title 75 PA law to make sure that we're posting with, meeting state law and regulations. I also heard a lot of comments about Jake brakes and the noise from trucks with Jake brakes. So we can again work with the borough to identify some of these locations and perform engineering and traffic studies to determine if we can restrict the use of Jake brakes in those areas. I say that we have to look at them because Jake brakes are a safety feature on a truck for certain grades. If it's under the grade requirements, we can absolutely restrict that. So we'll work with the borough to determine where these locations are and if they would meet restrictions for Jake brakes. I also heard some comments about the traffic signals and timings of those traffic signals. And the signals are owned and operated by Blairsville Borough, but we can work with them on identifying if we can tweak some of the timings of them to allow more green time in certain areas to try to get traffic through to help alleviate some of the congestion. So that's something else that we'll work with you on. Pedestrian crossing markings. I think that was in relation to the PED signs that go up. So I believe we have some of those at our county office, and we can get those to the borough for use. We pass those out to communities who need them. So that's something that we can get to the borough. I heard a comment about the antiquated infrastructure. So there is a process to get projects programmed for, like, those are larger scale projects that we can get programmed. Byron's here from Indiana County Planning, so that's something that we can work with Indiana County Planning on, and as well as the borough, and they go through a process where they update the larger scale projects through something called our Transportation Improvement Plan.
We have outgrown everything that you're talking about. So what can you do?
You're second on the roll list.
Okay.
No, that's okay. So that is something that communities can, like, the borough can work through Indiana County Planning to take through the community needs and projects that they need. Indiana County Planning then works through the Metropolitan Planning Organization, SPC, to program these projects. Now, SPC, they divvy up the funding that's allocated to them. Byron, maybe you know offhand how many counties SPC works with. It's maybe 10 counties. Yeah, so so the needs of this community are competing for funds with Allegheny County, Butler County, City of Pittsburgh. So all of those needs kind of are funneled through the SPC organization, and that's then who determines where the money gets divvied up, and then PennDOT works through those projects to get them out on the street. So there is a process for that, and Mayor Wallstrom and I have spoke about that, and we're going to get him in contact with Byron so that we can kind of work through some of those needs for the community. The Homer City redevelopment site and the improvements up there, that is all private funding. That is not PennDOT funding. So I did just want to clarify that as well. PennDOT has nothing in that site. See here. I think those were some of the comments that I jotted down that affect PennDOT. I don't know if Aaron or Connor, did I miss anything or anything you guys have comments for PennDOT? Okay. Now, if there's additional questions, we'll be happy to answer those. But I was trying to jot down the comments as we went and try to address those, and we'll certainly work together to kind of hopefully tackle some of those.
Thank you very much, Courtney. All right. Did any of the other? Anyone?
I just want to make the point. I want to thank Blairsville for coming out and keeping it civil. That's one of the major things. I mean, everyone here is here because we want to see government work, and government works. I think we got to the point where we're tired of trying to chase Facebook, trying to chase, he said, she said. So this is the first step. I want to make it clear in finding some of those solutions. But first, we've got to find out what the concerns are. So I want to thank everyone for keeping it civil, bringing really good comments. And this is not the end, and solutions may not come out of tonight, but this is the idea to kind of take some of those solutions or some of those concerns, put them into the right buckets, and then start finding solutions in the future. So I want to thank everyone for coming out and keeping it civil. Appreciate
I'll add to that. My age might not seem it. You would think I might be interested in social media, but really, I couldn't stand it. I can't stand it. I'm so glad to see all your faces and actually hear your voices and be able to talk to you. Do you have a question?
Most of this sounds like it was wrong. Wouldn't a quick solution be to put that sign back up that you can't make a right-hand turn onto Market Street?
That would be. I think that would be a good. It would be, if you want my personal view, I think it'd be a Band-Aid, another Band-Aid. It would be a good one though, and it would be a good one. I think there would still be a lot of issues with dust, with noise, but we'll keep moving on.
Hi everyone, Shireen Hess, County Commissioner, Hi everyone, Shireen Hess, County Commissioner, and Commissioner Dunlap is here as well, and Byron Stauffer has been mentioned. He's the Director of the Indiana County Office of Planning Development. We are 3 of 5 that sit on the Southwest Pennsylvania Planning Commission, and I want to just echo what you've said. Those are long-term. I grant you that. Those are long-term planning kinds of things. You need short-term solutions now, but we are going to be on it. That is a public entity. It meets bi-monthly, every other month, and we have transportation, the tips, as you mentioned. But I just want you to know that we will get on that. And I do want to thank the Blairsville Council, Councilman Janusek and Chief Sacco. I had no idea, and Mayor Wallstrom, I don't think I had an idea of how serious it was until I heard your comments, and they're very compelling. So I just want to assure you that we are hearing you, and we will respond. So thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Shireen. Okay, third on the roll. 4th, 5th. Okay. So if that's all from the elected and appointed officials, and we'll start doing some questions now.
Keep that mic up there and
I heard you say the radar don't work, but I know there's a, what do they call this? The way to stop people with cameras, and they say they're illegal in Pennsylvania. But if it's a work zone, why can't we call this whole truck thing a work zone and catch a few people?
Because I don't have the power to do that, number one. Radar, first of all, I didn't say radar doesn't work. The radar, if we had the capability to use it and we were allowed to use it, it would work fine. Okay. Mm-hmm. The problem is where you live at, they milled that up there, and we had reference points, those lines on the road. Those are there's a pre-measured certified distance that we're able to clock from point A to point B. When they milled that, we don't have access to that. Now, our borough said that as soon as that road gets paved, they're going to be immediately placed back on there, and then we'll be able to do speed enforcement again.
And by the way, it's not just the trucks; it's cars.
Oh, it's
just the same.
I agree. It's everybody. And like I said, the one that ran the red light today wasn't a truck; it was a car.
Right. Is your phone restricted now?
My phone restricted? No.
Well, here's what
just for a bill.
I called your number,
the police station number,
755. And I always get 911, and I said, I don't
well,
want
see what we just a real quick thing. What we did with that is we're not always in the office, and messages we're not getting. So after so many rings, it goes to our dispatch, and then they give us the information. So this way, we're not losing, people that are calling.
All right, and just so everyone knows, just to make it fair and everything, we'll be taking questions. I think we're going to try and end this up by 8. And get everyone out of here, and we're gonna take questions till about 7:50, 7:55. We'll wrap up with some statements, and then we can all get you home. I think you are a second on the roll here, and then if you guys could just pass the mic to whoever's answering.
I really appreciate the effort made for people to come together and listen to us, but is it a command performance, or do we have your word that you are really going to try to improve our communities? That thing is moving at lightning pace in Homer City, and there doesn't seem to be too many obstacles in their way. But it is affecting the quality of life.
I would answer that. I don't know that any other public meetings have been held.
Dave, besides the truck thing, I'm old school Blairsville. I have gone to board meetings since Joe Cockerty was a police chief. This has been a problem forever. But
absolutely.
This problem. But it seems like no matter what our concerns are, there's something that's not going to change. And it's a Pennsylvania. Okay, but if they want to get with it and have these data centers and everything, then get with it and change the roadblocks that make it a safe place to live. You need people to live in towns, or you're not going to have any tax dollars.
Well, I'll just say I think the same fire you're speaking from is the same fire that was letting us to throw the meeting. So but Dave, I'll let Dave speak.
Yeah,
to it,
I don't see many other communities getting together in a public meeting. I think this shows that your borough officials are listening. Your borough officials, again, are asking people to come out and hear it, because I think Michael talked about where this impetus came from. We were tired. I know me as one councilman who has complained about truck traffic over the last 8 years. This is not something that has, if you look at the scars that are on the poles in front of Sheets, those didn't happen within the last 18 months.
I've lived in the same house
Correct.
for 63
Right.
years. I'm very aware of the traffic pattern.
Correct. So I think we've got to the point where the impetus was put in place that I think, what was the answer that you got when you came to the borough council? That's a state problem, go to Struzzi or go to Pittman. And at that point we figured this is how government works, where we bring everyone to one table, start bringing those concerns out so we can start identifying them and start clicking them off piece by piece. I'm going to give you my word to hope prove you wrong that this is not a command performance as an elected official. And I think anybody here at this table, including from the state down, is here tonight because if it was a command performance, there wouldn't be people at this table.
Well, I was going to say it, and I think I can at least say too, he may agree, may not agree, but as an elected borough official, I'll keep biting ankles for you. Unfortunately, I can't, I won't bite yours, but I can't command. There's not a lot that we can command here, but we can, raise your voice as much as we can on this issue. Now, who did third, I think, was over here.
Yeah. I have a question of PennDOT. You mentioned that you have to go through all this study to change the speed limit. Then how was the speed limit changed on South Walnut Street just over the last month or so? It went from 35 to 25 where they put the radar sign up that registered the speed of the vehicles. So how did that speed limit get reduced from 35 to 25 there when you're saying that there has to be this long-term study done in order to change the speed limit?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead. I think I can answer that for you. I think the reason why that speed limit sign or the radar thing was put so it was put in a safe location. To be honest with you, where that is, that radar display sign, that's not 25 mile an hour. It doesn't begin 25 until a little further up.
Okay, but why can't you move that sign to the 600 block then?
Well, I think it's because there's really no room. You have to have room for that.
I'll offer my front yard.
Okay, I mean that's not. Go ahead.
Yeah, we placed that out there to request of some of the concerned citizens who live in that area. That device is not legal, meaning that the borough police cannot cite based on that speed minder. That speed minder is simply there to alert the traveling public. This is how fast you're going, because we do see that traffic speeds will be somewhat reduced by that. The only reason we placed it in that particular location was that was the only safe place that we could pull it off and not impact somebody's sight distance pulling out of their driveway or sight distance pulling out of a borough street. If there are other locations in the borough that they can be placed to help, we'll work with them.
Okay,
but
well,
understand that those are just.
I'll stop afterwards, but I'll tell you right now, it works.
Okay, good.
Okay, it's a lot cheaper than a policeman, and if you observe what has gone on there, it actually works. And then at the point where it doesn't work, I would think that your traffic study would take over. But as it is now, you have to understand on South Walnut Street, we can't put a curb cut in to put a U-turn in our front yards. You have to have 800 feet of frontal. So that means we are forced to back out onto that highway. So, and all these things that get down to it's going to be a traffic study. And I know that there's only a certain amount of money. And I'm positive that they're going to look, PennDOT's going to look at this problem in traffic in Blairsville and say it's temporary, because it's only happening while these combined cycle plant is being installed. And so it's going to get low priority unless there's some way that, there can be some temporary money put in to enforce the law in this situation, because it's not going to get funded because it's going to be considered a temporary problem.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll be happy to stop by and give you my name.
Okay. All right, I'm adding you to the list. I think I had you next. And okay.
I have two quick questions. It's a state road. We've said it's a state road. Why don't the state police use radar on the state road to enforce the speed? That's question number one. Why can't that be? Question number two. Absolutely, this was wonderful that you guys get together. we need action. We don't need a meeting. We need action. We need owners. We need people assigned to do things. We need to be informed about what's going on. It just can't be a meeting where we all get together.
Let me correct, this was the first step.
I get it,
Yeah.
but we need to leave here with an action plan, and we need to be informed about what's going on in the future. And I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just saying, it's great that this is a first start, but we need action. You know, my question too is that the Development Authority had to approve the project in Homer City. All right, that's our county officials. Did they look at the rest of the infrastructure that was required to support such a project? And it's obvious, no, we did not. And you're affecting the rest of the community for something that's good, but we need to look at the entire project and the scope of it in future. Thank you.
We don't have it was advertised that we invited a representative from the state police. They didn't show up. Only they can answer. Chief Sacco, you might be able to. His original question was, why can't did you hear the question?
I can tell you, speaking with the state police, especially with their mix-hap people that do the truck inspections, and speaking with the lieutenant, Blairsville is not the only area that is a concern with the heavy traffic, because they're pulling not only from this quarry, but there's other quarries.
Well,
that they're pulling
it was a simpler question. His question was, why can't the state police, it being a state road, why can't they enforce? Why can't they use radar and enforce?
And again, like I said, they're spread thin too. So
but it's a problem, and that's my.
I mean, I can't speak for the state police. I just know that that they're spread thin, and the same complaints that this community, they're getting other complaints elsewhere.
So don't take my questions as an attack. It's not meant to be. It's just that we need to do something quick, and we need to have some impact, because just talking isn't going to get it there. And I think this is a good first step, but I think we need to get aggressive and say, let's get some state police. I mean, I see them stopping trucks at the old Burrell School. They're doing those inspections, or some of them. So there are actions happening, but I think we just need to take a more aggressive approach to this and get some teeth into it. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. I think I saw your hand up after.
Hi. I've been sitting here listening to everybody, and yes, I understand your concerns. I have my same concerns. I mean, every day I come out Corporate Campus Drive and get on 22. I refuse to move until I see the traffic has stopped coming either way, because that's a bad intersection. Now, in that same regard, for those of you who are talking about making them go all the way up Walnut Street and getting on 22 just above Dean's Diner. Exactly. You live there. You know how bad that is up there. I won't even drive my car there unless I absolutely have to, because there isn't one person that will move over when they see you sitting there waiting to get onto the road, and they fly up over that hill. There is no way that a triaxle loaded with 22 plus tons of stone is going to be able to pull out of there and get up to speed, and you're just going to have more problems. The only solution would be, and I'm sure we'd have to have another study from PennDOT, that they would take that road down to one lane. Then you've got the problem, who's going to be able to get into Dean's Diner or turn onto Dixon. So that is why those trucks go up Walnut Street or Market Street. That's the reason they use that street, because it is way too dangerous for them and for the rest of the community for them to be able to pull out onto 22 above Dean's. Just my thoughts.
Thank you very much for the statements. I appreciate those. Do you have a question you want to ask any of the?
Well, I mean,
the statements were good enough.
Would there be? I mean, would it be feasible to close off the right-hand lane of 22 to give traffic access that they don't have to wait?
Create a merge lane.
Yeah, it would be, exactly, it would be a merge lane. But again, then you're going to have, you're going to have the problem of, well, how do we get people back over if they want to go to Dean's or they want to go to Dixon Street or whatever?
Right.
But is that something that could be done through PennDOT? And could it be done faster than 5 years?
Is this going to PennDOT?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the statement.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that I can give you an answer to that question right now. To your point, though, pretty much any change that we would make in traffic does require some sort of a study because there are impacts, right? We have to make sure whatever changes that we make don't have negative impacts to something else. So it's certainly something that we can look into, and we can take it back to the appropriate people. There's a lot of different departments within the engineering district that we work within, so we're going to have to speak with some folks. And so I can't give you any answers to that tonight, but regardless of any change that we would make out on our highways, we do have to do studies and look at what impacts there are to those changes. I don't know if you guys have
In my
any
mind,
other-
that would be a quick, something that we should actually address and be addressed a little more, a little faster than some of the other things that have been suggested.
There's a lot of things to consider in those engineering studies. I mean, does it impact economics locally? Does it create safety concerns? But just for clarification purposes, I didn't fully understand what lane you were wanting to restrict there. So just so that we can take a look at it, explain what location you're discussing there.
When you get up on that exit, or on that on-ramp,
Getting onto 22
getting
eastbound.
onto 22 from 217, okay, you're going east.
Yes.
Well, then we would need to restrict the right-hand lane
Of
so
22 eastbound.
of 22 eastbound, so that traffic could get onto the highway safely, and maybe not even have, because they can't stop, and then, even in my car, I'm afraid to pull out there because you have to stop. There's a stop sign there, and you have to look to make sure that it's clear, and then pull out. And there's no way you're going to be able to get a car or a truck up to speed that quickly, unless they have their own merge lane where they don't have to slow down much, because they're going to have to slow down on that curve anyway.
Yeah. Thank you. And real quick, I'll get to you too. I forgot he was in the role here. Sorry, I didn't mean to skip over you.
Todd Falk, thank you again. Questions for the elected officials and the PennDOT officials this evening. First, I think it's a reasonable request to ask for another meeting with an action plan from the government agencies represented here this evening, including the county commissioners, on the issues that were addressed. And I'm going to point out there should be short-term actions and long-term actions. And I think everybody should just manage their expectation in this room. That long-term planning study that Courtney referenced a number of times is like a 7 to 10 year plan. So if anybody thinks that's going to address these immediate concerns, it's not going to. So I would recommend that we get a short-term bucket of activities and action plans and a long-term infrastructure plan that we're talking about. I think it's reasonable to request. We have the representatives from Representative Struzzi and Senator Pittman. There's no reason why the state police is not here this evening. Trooper Greenfield is an excellent resource here in this county. I know he would be more than willing to be here. They absolutely have to be here for two reasons. Primarily, coordination with Chief Sack and the local police, borough police force on speed enforcement. And the second piece is they are principally responsible for motor carrier enforcement in conjunction with the PAPUC. That is the enforcement arm. They have to answer questions as to why they cannot dedicate resources to augment the Blairsville Borough Police Department and the local surrounding state roadways. It's not a mystery on the routes that these trucks are taking from the three quarries out to the power plant. And look, I'm going to say something unpopular here this evening. The one thing that was overlooked is there are 80 to 100 jobs, full-time jobs, in those 3 quarries right across the bridge from us. My son works at one of them. Another gentleman here tonight, his son works at another one. So for us to say that no members of our communities work at those quarries, drive trucks supporting those quarries, I would just tell you that's not an accurate statement, gang. So I felt compelled to share that with the team. I think both of the county commissioners, the former county commissioner is one of the chief proponents and sits on that board of the county development authority. There is no reason why they cannot have a representative at the next meeting when we reconvene to talk about grant funding or support that they could do private funding to help support some of these efforts. I think that's something they'd be willing to consider. They have been good partners. I'm not demonizing that project. It's the first major economic expansion we've had in this county in 25 years. So again, I'm a supporter of that. So I think that's a fair ask for both of the county commissioners to have a representative from that development authority here at the next meeting. For the state officials, I think it's reasonable to say, why is DEP not here on the air quality and tarping issues? Because they were the ones that enforced the dust issue across the bridge at the one quarry that had dust mitigation issues. Okay, so I think that's something that we can address and have that representative here from Pennsylvania DEP. One last piece, and this is a request. There's 3 quarry operators, Heidelberg Materials, SMT, and Dairy Stone and Lime. They would have representatives here to listen to this. I don't think they want to be bad partners to this. They have a role in water mitigation, dust mitigation over there, tarping, loading, all those things. That is a partner that we need to have sitting at this table when we come back and reconvene. And how are they going to help us?
I agree, and thank you very much. I will say, Dave said this earlier, and I just want to reiterate this. This was literally just a meeting to collect the concerns, figure out what the list everyone is upset about, and get a more organized plan so that we can come back. And I said it in the intro, this is hopefully first of many meetings. And I agree, action needs to be taken. So, thank you.
Thank you. Then, Mayor, for this team to reconvene with those 4 other parties for answers to this interested population.
Yeah.
What's a reasonable time limit to have answers to some of these things? The short-term bucket, at least. I think that's a reasonable ask of the group here tonight.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of tough. I'll just be quick and honest with you. I think it's kind of tough because you're asking of the people who aren't here, when can we meet with them? I'm not sure yet, and I'll ask them for you. That's what I can do for you. Okay. But as soon as possible, hopefully. I can let you guys. We'll let you guys know when the next meeting is.
I would think a reasonable expectation would be a month to 40 days from now to at least sit down with a what's the word I'm looking for? With a progress report of where we are. Because the idea tonight was, as Michael said, is to take these cards, put them into buckets. PennDOT has already done that to try to say, okay, here's actions moving forward. HCR has reached out to us, as Michael said. They're willing to sit down once these, and the idea was to get all of the concerns together because, again, you can listen, you can sit at Market Street and listen to concerns. You can go on Facebook and you ask yourself, how much of these are the real concerns? I can tell you right now, you don't have to be a mathematician to figure out what the top 3 problems here are. So I would say, quite frankly, I don't see why, with not in a month, we can at least reconvene and say, here's a progress report. I mean, I think that's reasonable.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor, if I can real quick. Again, John from Senator Pittman's office. Todd, to answer specific your one question, I did reach out to DEP. Anyone who has concerns, complaints specific to the dust, those are being handled by the Southwest Regional Office in Pittsburgh. And you can call 412-442-4000. If you don't have pen and paper, reach out to both of our offices. We can help convey those.
Thank you very much. And I think part of anyone who's here, that's part of our job of sorting those concerns, and we can.
Yep. It is area code 412-442-4000.
And so we can relay those of you who were here tonight's concerns. If you have others that you know that have concerns, it never hurts to have them reach out too. in terms of pressure. Okay, I'm gonna here, and then I'll jump over there
Don't touch that part.
and try. We're gonna try and speed this up so we can
Hello.
get as many questions as we can.
Happy to be here. I am on South Walnut. My name's Janet Hodel. And I've heard, everybody seems to echo some of the same sentiments. We've heard a lot of the same stuff. And from what I'm also hearing is that this is like a David and Goliath thing. It's a tidal wave that's coming at us because these data centers, they're not going away. They're going to be multiplying, and they're going to be close, and they're going to be in close proximity. So even if we would take care of the traffic lights, it's going to be something else. Something else is going to come up, and just like you had said, Chief, with the amount of traffic flow and what's going on with that, that's going to increase. That's not going away. So the stuff that we're doing is only going to work for a limited time, I'm afraid. So what I think is, why don't we get together with some of the other municipalities that have gone through this and bring everybody together as a statewide task force to talk about, because I'm sure it's the same issues. And maybe we need lobbyists to go and, address this at a higher level, because God bless all of you and God bless all of the truckers. My husband's a trucker, and they are trying just to make a wage. And thank God that we have feasible income coming in. But I don't think that, well, I know that there's not protection put in place for what we're going to come up against. And I don't think any of you have the means to handle it, with no disrespect, because we are in competition, as you had said, with Allegheny County and other counties. So we need to come together. There's strength in numbers, and we need to bring them together, find out what worked for them, and then assemble a task force, because us calling the state hotline every other day, we're invisible faces to them. Our properties and our property value, it's not a big deal. And even if we say to you, are you going to give us some bang for our buck? You can't give us that, because you don't have the finances, you've said that yourself, or the manpower. So we need more than just this group assembled here, and I think we need to take it to a higher level and all come together, not be divided, but everybody come together and say, hey, here's our concerns. Apparently the study wasn't done that determined how this is going to actually affect us and our families. And we need us to come together and say, do we need to lobby and change legislation? That's stuff that none of us have access to and we can't do, but together we can. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And like I said at the beginning, I cannot agree more. I think it's when we all come together. Yep, it's beyond us.
My question is for PennDOT. Like, over the years since Adele and I have had all the accidents in our yard, I've been told numerous times, and I don't think it was any of you people that I talked to, that they don't want to slow down traffic on South Walnut. So, like, I said, well, maybe a stop sign at Johnson, maybe a stop sign at Old Main. People have to stop. They're not going to be going 40, 50, 60 miles an hour around that curve. So they had the great idea of raising the curve, which is now fractured, which I called Jim Struzzi, who never called me back 2 years ago about fixing it. But what happens when a smaller car, SUV, they hit that curb, it collapses their right front tire, and it acts like a rail system right into the pole. And it's usually at night, but it happens early in the morning. I mean, I sat in my yard and watched the lady die. I mean, that stays with you. I mean, something has to be done about that. And I know everyone's worried that if you put up something higher, the car's going to bounce off of it and go into another car. But there's going to be somebody on that sidewalk where it's going to be me cutting my grass. I mean, it's going to happen. So something has to be done controlling the speed before they hit that curve. So I don't know what you can do, what kind of a study that could be, but 104 cars have crashed there. And we just had a truck, a young kid hit it that was going to the power plant about 6 o'clock in the morning about, what was that, Adele, 6 weeks ago? And he ended up through my yard, her yard, another yard, and took out steps to the fourth house. That kid was lucky. He was very lucky. he was in a truck, it could jump over the curb. The cars, it just takes them right into that pool, and it's a problem.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much. We got.
Yeah, well, Commissioner Dunn also wanted to make a statement. I'm sorry.
So many of you I know because I grew up in Blairsville and I live outside of Blairsville. I would say I know half of you in the room. So I'm going to put on one hat that's not a county commissioner hat. It's going to be a resident hat. If you know me, you know I live on Black Lake Road. And I'm listening to what you're saying because I'm taking that information in for myself because your traffic is magnified 3 times on the road that I live on. So we have a concern on Black Lake Road. We have our separate neighborhood group, and we're looking at the same things that you are. You have some different situations, but we're looking at some of the same things and trying to figure out how we can slow the traffic down and cut the dirt down on our road too. That's my personal hat. Make very clear that's my personal hat. As far as the county commissioner hat, I just want to clarify something so that you can use this for future reference. It was mentioned about the long range plan, and that includes the Transportation Improvement Committee, which you have local representatives on, including Abby DeTore and Linda Gwynn. Those are the 2 I can remember right now. And those are the people that are supposed to be your conduits to tell your concerns. We just had a meeting about a month and a half ago to collect that information. So you need, what I'm saying is be educated, know the system, know how to put that information through the system to get into that long range plan, long range. As far as the county, there was some comments about the county and the county doing things. In Pennsylvania state, the way government works is from the bottom up. Most power is right here in the borough. We at the county level have limited powers, believe it or not. We can only enforce, for example, what's in our land ordinance, which goes through our planning commission, through our planning office. So if developments come into the area, if they adhere to everything that's required in our saldo, in our land ordinance, we can't say to you, we don't like you, you're not going to go any further. So I just want to make that clear too, that they have to adhere to that. And if you want to know about that, and if you want to know what's going on, go to the planning website because the minutes are there of the agendas, and we'll be soon putting up the agendas are there. We'll soon be putting up the minutes. One more thing. Homer City Redevelopment is a private entity. That was mentioned. We can have no control over them. So we can invite them the same as you can, but I can't make them come. Just understand that also. One thing that we are doing at the county level, which is not related to road condition, but in relation to the land ordinance, we are looking to protect the county on building things that might include data centers. So we're looking at the land ordinance to say, do we need to make any changes to it? On Friday, we will be announcing a portal where we would taking public comment. We will do that until mid-July. After that, we will take that information. We will give it back to our planning commission because that's who has to go through making sure that that ordinance is correct and proper. And they're the ones that have to review all the things that go through it. We would then take that information. If we do an amendment, it'll be a draft amendment. It'll go out 30 days. It'll go for a public hearing. After that, if it's adopted 30 days, it would become the ordinance. We would be looking at fall for that to be in place if we go through that process. So I just wanted to explain some of the processes at the county level to you.
Wouldn't that be too little too late though?
We're doing the best that we can as fast as we can.
That's the honest answer to that.
The honest answer? No.
No, not too little too late.
No.
All right, I think this will be possibly the last question we get in.
I actually have a couple. Is jake breaking inside borough limits legal?
It's something that we can't enforce because it's considered a safety item on the truck. When I was chief of police in Homer City, we ran through the same issue. It's considered a safety item, so we can't really.
Is that a change? Because through the years I have seen signs inside municipalities that forbid the use of Jake
And
brakes.
and unfortunately, through some of the courts, that's where that basically got thrown out. Is the truckers basically went through and said this is a safety item, and the courts basically upheld that.
If I could just interject there, it does also depend on grades. It also does depend on grades. So if it's basically flat enough, we can restrict the use of Jake brakes. So
Pretty
Oh,
that's something
flat
we
on
can
Market
look at.
Street till the east end of
Right.
town.
Yeah. So that should be something that we could prohibit. So we're going to work with the borough on that to identify what locations we need to look at, and then issue them a permit to go ahead and restrict that if we can.
Chief, the pedestrian signs were mentioned that used to sit in the crosswalks because people won't stop like they're legally supposed to do for pedestrians. Can those go back out?
Yep. PennDOT has signs available that we can get to the borough.
Well,
I'll suggest that to the borough manager.
we don't have those anymore. We had them for
We
years.
have a couple that I know of
Okay.
left, but I'll be honest with you, when you stick them out in the middle of the road, they get run over.
Okay, I'd like to make one last comment. I think it behooves everybody in this room to be fully aware that HCR does not exist anymore. That's straight from a person who is in direct control of that when it first got thrown out at us that we're here to redevelop and help. It is HCG, Homer City Generation. They are not really, it keeps being in the news, it keeps being used by people, it was used here several times tonight. They are not HCR anymore. They're a Wall Street investment firm who's here to develop the power plant. That is their purpose. So I think we need to start referring to them as HCG.
Regardless, we've been in conversation with HCR, HC, whatever, to sit down and look at these.
I mean, it's a fair
issues.
correction.
Yeah, I mean, but
I don't think it's in our interest to continue to call them HCR
Okay.
when that entity does not even exist anymore in my understanding, because I sat in on a meeting with one of the head people who said, no, we're not that anymore. We are HCG, and we don't have anything to do with what happens with the data. Well, we do, but we don't, but we're not courting them, but, lots of stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a fair correction.
But we do have.
It's been
It's
missing.
an obfuscation if that is continued to be used, especially by public officials. So I would really encourage every public official here to quit calling them Homer City redevelopment, because that is not what they are. That is not their purpose. They are here to make a profit on that power plant, and as soon as it's up and running, you can just about rest assured it will be on the market.
I don't know if they've changed their site to say that yet, because I swear I was just looking at the site yesterday. Right. No, but yes, thank you for.
I don't want to throw names out here, but I got it straight from a horse's mouth. That is
Yeah.
My point is that they're willing to sit at the table, no matter what they're called, to try to find solutions.
That's true.
That's
And I noticed they're not here tonight.
And I forget the name of the investment group. I believe it begins with Knight. Knight. Yeah.
One of the biggest ones on Wall Street.
Okay. Sorry. One sec.
Couldn't PennDOT give you a camera that sit on top of the lights like they have in the city, so when somebody goes through them, it takes their picture? That would eliminate him having to sit officers there, and you would have pictures of the vehicles who run the lights.
Could you hear that?
I think if I heard.
No, it was for PennDOT.
I think if I heard correctly, it was in regards to cameras on the traffic signals for enforcement.
Yes.
We can't legally enforce traffic cameras. We can't use traffic cameras for enforcement at signals. The cameras that you're seeing on the top of the signals are video detection to basically, instead of the loops in the road,
I know what you're talking about, and there is certain areas within the Commonwealth, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh.
They're all over Pittsburgh. They're all over Pittsburgh. Here, not Pittsburgh.
Okay. I have time for a few more quick questions. I promised this lady, and then over here.
Mine was answered.
Yeah. Okay. Asked and answered, and over here. Sorry. Okay.
My thing is not to make matters worse, but we're going to have an infiltration of over 600 RVs minimally. Well, I'm just saying that's going to involve more traffic. But they will be coming into Blairsville. No, right outside here, Newport Road.
Well, again, I mean, and much like the correction for the HCG. I mean, it's a fine thing to bring up and for everyone to keep in mind. I'm sorry. Did you?
No, I just
I knew
wanted to
someone had
say
a quick question.
all these data centers, it's like a tsunami that's come in. And I just wondered if there's some way to expedite the long range plans.
Is there some way to expedite
The long range plans, like regionally, what you were saying about us getting together as communities, because all of these data centers everywhere, but Westmoreland County, like you think of Route 30, 217, 22, that there could be a bypass that would really increase the quality of life right here in our community, Derry, all these little communities. So it wouldn't be just Indiana County, it would be Westmoreland County as well. So
that's where my vote goes.
Okay.
So, and I think we're going to finish off with Byron Stauffer from the Indiana Planning and Development wants to make a statement.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I just, again, my name is Byron Stauffer. I'm the Executive Director of the Indiana County Office of Planning and Development, and I just want to commend you as residents and as a community for coming together and addressing this critical issue. I think it was said earlier, I think maybe Commissioner Hess said about the volume. My daughter actually lives in Blairsville, and certainly I pass through here all the time and come down to this fine community. Got some great pastries and some fine establishments here. But nonetheless, I just want to assure you from my office perspective, you have two county commissioners here. You've heard the long range plan, it's the transportation improvement program. We look at that every month. We just are completing the current iteration of that for the next 4 years. It's updated every 2 years, but that's just one opportunity. I'm sitting here taking notes, but you have my assurance and my commitment from our office with this regard. And it was mentioned earlier about about official or local residents sitting on the public participation panel, and we'll make sure that in the future, we get somebody from Blairsville participating and speaking up. On these critical issues, and that's the forum to initiate some of these issues. But there are things that can be done in the interim, and that we will seek out those resources. The Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission was mentioned. They have a host of consultants, open-ended consultants that they can bring in. Unfortunately, it does take planning. It does take some analysis. The district, I commend them for being here. They're a terrific resource. But again, I think it's all hands on deck to find the right solutions. I think you've outlined each of your comments, the different things that need to happen sequentially in terms of, things happen concurrently and in order. And the key issue is just communication and addressing. I think you will find, HCR, now Homer City Generation LP, to sit down with you and possibly address it. John and I were brainstorming a little earlier in advance of this meeting, and we dealt with this and trying to recall when Seward Power Plant was going in, and Armagh, if you remember some of those stories in the paper. So there is a playbook there, and some things that we can pull that out, dust it off, and see what some of the things were done in cooperation with the truck drivers, with the private entities, and everybody working together. In every meeting that I've been in with Homer City Generation, they do stress the safety aspect of their works. So again, I do not think that this will be brushed off lightly. It's a big project. It needs addressed. but I commend you for stepping up, and you have at least my commitment to work with you, advocate on your behalf, and try to find some solutions, both near term and long term. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Byron. Okay, so what? I can't read lips. Thank Brenda. Oh, so real quick before we start getting up and filing out, I just want to say I think I'm going to double down on what Dave said in answer to where was he? His question. Oh, sorry, Todd. There you go. I think 30 days is a perfect timeline. Now, I'm not going to say exactly the 17th of July, but in that area, we'll be meeting back with you guys. Anyone who wants to come back for a second meeting. So, which means by then we'll have made something with the HCG and talking to them, figuring out what they're willing to assist on, and a couple of those other recommendations. I want to say one more time, real quick, thank you to Renda Media for coming out and kind of broadcasting all these concerns and what we did here tonight. And I just got to say, also doubling down on something Dave said, there are not many communities doing this right now. And when they do it, the communities don't always come out and show the support for themselves that they need to. And so I can't tell you how much I appreciate and how proud I am. And I know I love this place and live here because of my grandma, and she would be absolutely over the moon with the civic participation that you guys represented tonight. So,
Mayor, just real quick, if I could offer some.
Sure.
I just want to make some closing remarks. I knew we were under a tight time frame, and when I saw the amount of people that were here, I knew there was going to be a lot of questions. So I just want to applaud the borough officials, county officials, PennDOT, and all of you for coming here. It's not lost on us, and I truly mean that. And the fact that you kept your comments to Blairsville and the surrounding area I did not lose that. So I think kudos. I have a thorough list. We're not going anywhere. So I'm going to stick around for a little bit afterwards. More than happy to have continued conversations. But I really just want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for keeping your comments specific to this area. And we will see you in a month to 40 days. And I'll let Emily finish up.
Sorry. Thank you. I know we're wrapping up. I just wanted to say, thank you all for coming. Thank the borough for hosting this meeting tonight. I know Representative Struzzi is very aware of the situation. We have an office over on Market Street, so we have also seen a lot of the traffic, and I know I've talked with a lot of you here tonight. So we are very aware of the issue, and certainly trying to work with our local partners, with PennDOT, police, the borough, the county on these solutions. And I know the representative is taking this seriously. I know he's also been in contact with, HCR, HCG, however they may be going now, about this issue as well. So I think continuing these partnerships together to find appropriate solutions. We're not going anywhere. We're hearing all of you out. So we do really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you.
And I think just to speak to something everyone was saying, as long as everyone's acting as a partner, hopefully we can continue and find some solutions. I'll also be kind of sticking around. I don't see Pastor John anywhere, so I think Erica's probably closing up. Maybe. Todd. Okay. So I don't know how quickly he needs to get out, but if you want to say anything, I'll be around.
Before we go, Michael, I'll tell you what, why don't we do a quick interview for our Facebook audience here? Your reaction to tonight's proceedings, very civil, but also very informative from the public to the panel up here.
Sure. Yeah, I think people really came out and spoke to what the concerns were that I've heard prior to this meeting that kind of spawned this meeting, and I'm really proud of them for coming out and talking about it, because I know it's very frustrating as someone who doesn't have much direct power to do anything about it. We need to use our voices, and we need to act as a community to get things done.
So now that we have these comments and they'll be sorted into the different categories, what's next?
So what's next is we've sorted them into the categories, and we'll be kind of divvying them up to who can solve what. So if it's a dust problem and the DEP can offer solutions, we're going to them. If it's an HCG issue, we're going to take that to whatever meeting we're able to set up with them, and we will be bringing you guys the results of that in the next month's meeting.
All right, so next month, so probably a month to 40 days, as was mentioned. Are the people that gave comment tonight, are they going to be contacted directly then by these other parties, like the DEP, police department, borough council, whatever?
I think we're gonna try to keep the contact via us. We did have a sign-up sheet where we got everyone's numbers, and whoever wanted to give their numbers and email, we're able to, and we can try and keep in contact with them that way. We're also going to try and keep in contact with them by, again, doing these recurring meetings. We're not just going to kind of let it peter out. I think this is an issue that if we don't keep the public support up for it, it's just going to become another bygone issue. So kind of it's going to be all of our jobs to hold together as a community to kind of cajole the powers that be into following through on solutions.
Mayor Mike, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
All right, and once again, for the past 2 hours on Facebook and on our YouTube channel, we will be posting this a little bit later on. But again, this has been a public forum and a town hall meeting concerning the problems with the trucks, the large trucks that have been rolling through Blairsville Borough. We'll have more coverage on this coming up here on our Renda Media websites and, of course, tomorrow morning as part of the news on WCCS and your hometown radio stations. Josh Whittison for Renda Digital TV on Facebook and YouTube. Our Facebook Live is powered by S&T Bank.